alaikum students. How are you all? I hope you all doing well. So today we are going to start second part of history of English literature. As in previous lecture we are done with Renaissance. We have started from the very start and we cover up till Renaissance. Now we are going to start it with the age of reason or restoration period, right? But before doing that, make sure you people have subscribed to our channel, like the video, and comment below for your request. Thank you. So let's start. The period of revolution and restoration period, the 17th century. I hope that till now you are able to answer the questions that might be asked from the previous ages of history, especially history of English literature. So now let's discuss about what's going on within the scenarios of restoration or revolution period. Okay, basically in this age, again the clashes are going on. Okay, the war is just continue and between the like kings and this kind of things. Okay, there is a kind of feudal wars and feudal things, and everyone is just having a war or battle between for one reason or another. So basically, the social background is the same as was previous, but somehow it was changed because the clash between the king and the parliament was over there. Okay, so basically, what happened that in that scenario, in first of all, if we'll see the revolution and restoration period, it means something is getting restored in that era. Okay, now what was that? That was basically their religion. That was basically their Christianity. Okay, anything. The Catholic Church was prominent. You can say the people were writing more stuff about Christianity, and they were getting closer to their religion. And because in the previous ages, the shape, you can say, or the overall personality of the church and the monarchy and the clergy people, clergy is basically the religious people or people who are living in the church or related to that. Okay, so in previous lectures or in previous ages, those were the people who literature of that period in that kind of scenarios, in that kind of circumstances. The period of revolution basically is also known as the age of Milton. Okay, like the period of restoration is also known as the age of Milton. Similarly, the next age is also known as the age of Pope. Okay, so how about the age of Milton? Christianity was at its peak at that time. Okay, the people were loving to know more about their religion. They were having a kind of holy, attachment to their god and things. So that is why Milton is the most prominent figure of this age. This age is also known as the age of Milton, and he was a revolutionary poet. In what way he was revolutionary? Because it was a kind of revolution to just make all the people having one point of view that was related to their religion and religion only, and they were getting closer to their god. So he was political both in life and in his art. Okay, Paradise Lost is the most striking feature of restoration period. Paradise Regained and Samson Agonistes, these are the basic, and they are the kind of epics, especially Paradise Lost. Okay, next was Bunyan, John Bunyan. Okay, so John Bunyan, The Pilgrim's Progress, a religious allegory, the spiritual pilgrimage of Christian. Again, it was some kind that it Paradise Lost, if you will see one thing, Paradise Lost is totally related to it's about the origin of the man. It's about how the man was created, how Adam and Eve they just ate that apple, and how they just um, they just get into this planet called Earth, and all about human deeds and their foolishness and their begging to God, and how everything just the scenario of the making of mankind and the world on a whole. Okay, and then Paradise Regained, the character of Saturn, you gonna just be surprised by studying that character. Overall, it's very much interesting, so I would recommend you people must go through it. Paradise Lost, Paradise Regained, very 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 much nice kind of poetical form of book that is very much authentic and interesting to read. Anyway, Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress, it is again a religious allegory. Now, I have already told you people what's an allegory. Allegory is a story with double meaning. So, it's a religious allegory. It means that it must be a kind of, it must be a story that would be having its another point of view. Okay, and it's about the spiritual deeds of Christians. Next one is that of Dryden, the most distinguished literary figure of the Restoration period, user of heroic couplet in his writing. So basically, Dryden was the first person who has introduced heroic couplet in his writing. What heroic couplet is? Two successive lines of a verse equal in length and with rhyme. We are having heroic couplet in Urdu version as well in Urdu ghazals and nazms. Sorry, in Urdu ghazals only. Okay, so basically the last two lines of the poem of any kind of verse are known as heroic couplet, but it isn't important that all the time they are gonna the last two lines. There could be any other, the start, it could be heroic couplet, could be in the middle of the poem as well. Okay, metaphysical school of poetry. Now this one is the very important element again. Break away from the convention, simple diction, common speech words, and sedents his actual life imagery argument with poets beloved with God or with himself, John Donne and Andrew Marvell. Okay, so now they are called the metaphysical school of poetry. What is metaphysics? The anything that isn't related to God or religion. Okay, so they just break away from the convention, and they started using some kind of flowery language that was very much elevated. The style was very much different, and they have argumentative kind of statements with God and with themselves as well. So John Donne and Andrew Marvell, they have done a great job doing that. John Donne, leading figure of metaphysical school of poetry, his conceits are very 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 much famous in this age, and they are actually very much witty. Now in this video, this one is for you people. Now this is your task to Google it what a conceit is, and you will also figure out how many conceits John Donne have written, and what are the names of them. And you marvel to his coy mistress. Okay, this one is the basic work done by Andrew Marvell. So this was all. What Let's revise it. The revolution period, it was having the social background of wars. Okay, the kings, they are having their own kind of battles with the parliament, and the same kind of scenario to some extent is going on. But the revolution has taken place. What kind of revolution? Because of John Milton, because of John Dryden, the metaphysical school of poetry was introduced. Okay, and Dryden, he has just changed the scenario. He has changed all the rules and regulation and norms while writing the poetry, and started doing kind of questions to God and to himself. And on the other hand, Milton, who was a revolutionary poet, he has written each and everything in a in a political yet religious way of writing the poetry. Okay, All right. So that was all in restoration period. Now the next one is the period of enlightenment and classicism. Okay, the 18th century. Again, now remember when we have started the period of revolution, it was 17th century. Okay, so 17th century, not completely, but somewhere from 1700 to further on. There were the kind of ages when there wasn't any kind of material, any good kind of material, you can say that good literature was produced. So the next period was the period of enlightenment and classicism, that is known as the 18th century. Now what was the change of a like what was the change that has taken place in the period of enlightenment? The period of enlightenment and classicism, the classicism word itself is showing us that here we are going to talk about the new classics. We are going to talk about the classics of our history, not our history. Obviously our history means that history of English literature. So here we are going to have a kind of amalgamation means mixture of classics like Plato, like and Aristotle, their views and their kind of techniques that they have used in their material, their work, or their philosophies. Now that is why this period is known as the period of enlightenment, because it was also before your the period that was called romantic period. So it is also known as the pre-romantic age as well, and the age of reason. Okay, age of reason. All right, also as age of pop, because in all the ages we can say that there are some kind of prominent figures, and because of their prominent works they are known as the father of English poetry, as the father of poetry, as the father of drama, as the father of prose, and these kind of things, and vice versa. Okay, so what kind of social background that was going on in this period? Okay, the social background was the age of enlightenment or the age of reason. Again, okay, there are a lot of names. Never get confused whenever a question appear. For example, if you are having a question in your examination that write note on age of reason, and you'll be like, oh my god, what's going on? I haven't read any kind of period in the history of English literature. So it is very much important for you people. First of all, I would highly recommend you people take one page, okay, and do write all the names that like the segment of history of English literature and their dates with them. For example, if we are having Anglo-Saxon period in the very start, you are supposed to write down the second and or third name if you have read anywhere. So you are supposed to read and memorize all these names and dates. First of all, it's very much important, and it gonna help you a lot throughout your BS English literature or your MA or whatever you are going through right now. Okay, so, the age of enlightenment, age of reason, a progressive intellectual movement, because it was age of reason. It isn't a kind of Catholic movement. It was rather a Protestant movement. Okay, the people they were more, they were more likely to question God, to question things, to question everything, to question their self, to question their existence. So that is why this age is also known as the age of reason. It was a progressive intellectual movement to enlighten the whole world with the light of modern philosophical and artistic ideas, to celebrate reason, equality, and science. It means that they were more focusing on the reasons, on the logics, on equality, on ideas that were philosophical or artistic. There were no kind of holy things, or there wasn't any kind of spirituality that was going on in this period. If one thing is going on, okay, if it's having any logic, that's fine. If it isn't then it's useless. It was like that, okay. Now, what kind of literature or literary figures there were over there in this period? The school of classicism, okay, the rise of modern novel, sentimentalism, pre-romanticism, and Sheridan's drama. Classicism. Now, what classicism was? All forms of literature should be molded after the classical works of ancient Greek and Roman writers, controlled by some fixed laws and rules. Now, this is the main reason why this age was known as classicism, because now the writers or the novelists or the poets, they were bound to obey all the rules of tragedies, all the rules of dramas, all the rules of philosophy, whatever under the leadership of Roman or Greek writers. And everything should be everything should be in order, logic, restrained emotion, and accuracy. Edison, Steele, and Pope as a representative. So Steele and Pope, they were the dominant figure of that time. Steele, the Tatler, Edison, the Spectator. These two works are very much dominant and important. Pope, the most important representative of classical poetry, so perfect in heroic couplet that no one has been able to approach him. So it means that he was the Chaucer of his age. Uh-huh. Are you getting my point? Because Chaucer has also, take the English meter to that level that no one can compete him. The same in the same way, Pope, he has done that to the poetry, to the heroic couplet. So how modern novel was? The mid-century predominated by a new realistic novel. Now remember it, Defoe's Robinson Crusoe was the first novel. Whenever somebody would ask you, or whenever any teacher is going to ask you this question, that what or which one is the first novel in history of English literature, then you must say Robinson Crusoe, that was written by Defoe. Okay. So Richardson's Pamela is also very much important, and Fielding's Smollett and Stern are representative description of adventures. So Defoe's and his prominent work was Robinson Crusoe, as I have told you. Richardson, Pamela, yes, very, very, very well written. Stern and Tristram Shandy, Swift, The Gulliver Travels. Swift was also the best kind of writer when it comes to present a kind of satire throughout the society. Now, what a satire was? A satire was basically a kind of, political statement, or you can say satire is a kind of double statement when we are saying one thing and meaning another. Okay, this is what we can say that is known as satire. So Fielding and Tom Jones, Smollett, and the Roddick random. Sentimentalism. Now, what sentimentalism was? By the mid of the 18th century, sentimentalism came into being as a result of a bitter discontent among the enlightened people with social reality. Dissatisfied with reason, sentimentalists turned to sentiment, to the human heart. Now, what happened that some of the people, because it was a pure age of reason, people were not people were not allowing others and allowing themselves to get attached to some kind of spirituality. But then a kind of a class of people, you can say, they were having that kind of emptiness within their hearts. And that moment, they have started that movement that is known as sentimentalism, which is which was the result of being very much detached from God or reality. So they were the people who were dissatisfied with reason. They turned to sentiments, to the emotions, to the human heart, in which after this, no, this is the reason why then the age of romanticism started. Okay. Thomas Gray, an elegy written in country churchyard. Okay, now what an elegy? Elegy is a mournful song that we may sung or after any after our beloved or after our dear ones just left us. Okay, an elegy is a mournful song basically. Pre-romanticism. In later half of the 18th century, a strong protest against the bondage of classicism are recognition of the claims of passion and emotion, William Blake and Robert Burns as representative. So they were the representative of romanticism, as I have already told you. Because why it's known as pre-romanticism? Because in the mid of the 18th century, they were the pioneers of romanticism, and they have started their work and stuff that was related to human heart, that was related to emotions, that was related to sentiments on the whole. So William Blake is very much prominent figure in that way. The poems of from the songs of innocence, his songs of innocence are awesome, guys. You must go through them. Indicate the conditions which make religion a consolation, a prospect of illusory people and happiness, and poems from the songs of experience reveal the true nature of religion, which brings misery to the poor children. So it is a kind of shikwa and jawabe shikwa in one way or other. Not on the whole, I'm just saying it. Okay, don't take it so much seriously. It means that to some extent, or to understand just the theory, we can say that the songs of innocence, the songs of experience, both are in that way. Because he, in songs of innocence, he has just asked some kind of question, and he himself has experienced it and then answered it in the songs of experience. Robert Burns was also one of the prominent figures, remembered mainly for his songs written in the Scottish dialect. Okay. Okay, then his dialect was what was that? Sheridan was his work the only important English dramatist in the 18th century, the rivals and the school for scandal, the true classics in the English comedy. Okay, so he was, we can say, the only important English dramatist in that, because in that was the age of poetry, basically age of reason. So he was the only one. I hope this one is clear to you. Now let's come to the next age, that is the Romantic period. Take a deep breath and start again. Okay? Don't get panic. Things are not so much critical as they may appear in front of us. So, the turn of the 18th and 19th century. Romantic period. Don't take it as romantic, guys. Please. I do know very well that whenever students they are get into the literature and they just saw that word romantic, they are just like, oh no. It's not like that. So romantic period, there was romantic because it was related to nature, it was related to human, it was related to the common people, the nature of code, the nature, okay, of man basically. So social background was two important revolution: the French Revolution of 1789 to 1794 and the English Industrial Revolution. So with the passage of time, with these ages, the social political background was going on, okay, by and by. Now the wars and battles, they were has come to an end. There was some kind of peace, we can say, because there was French revolution, and somehow people they were getting their rights. And the industrial revolution, for as we have read in the previous, the feudal system and the laws, they were accepted for to some extent. And now the English industrial revolution has taken place. So, what kind of literature was going on? The Romantic period is an age of poetry. Wordsworth, St. Coleridge, Byron, Shelley, Keats, all are my favorite. These guys, they have done just marvelous job in the history of English literature, and I just love them all. Major romantic poets, they are prose writers and novelists. Now, what romanticism actually is? It designates a literary and philosophical theory which tends to see the individual as the very center of all life and all experience. Now, this thing is very much important to memorize. Okay, they have put on a theory which tend to see the individual as the center of art. Okay, it also places the individual at the center of art, making literature most valuable as an expression of his or her unique feelings and particular attitude. Nature is not only the major source of poetic imagery but also provides the dominant subject matter. Romantics also tend to be nationalistics. Why nationalistics? Because they talk about every bit of their country, they talk about everything that was overall related to human being. Now, lake poets. The poets including Wordsworth, Coleridge, Southey, and they known as the Lake District poets. Why? Because they cover up some kind of starting scenario of romantic period. They transferred the same path in politics and in poetry, first inspired by French Revolution, later changed into conservative. Wordsworth, the definition of poetry. Now, Wordsworth was the first poet who has introduced the definition of poetry. Now, you are supposed to memorize it very well. Poetry is the spontaneous overflow of the powerful feelings, and poetry originates from emotion recollected in tranquility. Now, what recollected in tranquility is? If you people have gone through from Mr. Chips in your second year English, you must know about it, because that person Mr. Chips, he is having his emotions recollected in tranquility. Okay, he was having that spontaneous overflow of the powerful feelings. Obviously, that is in prose form. I'm just talking about his memories, okay, his emotions. That is why we can see that Mr. Chips is not, in a very proper way written. It is somehow the chapters, they are just related to his emotions. Anyway, and poetry originates from emotions recollected in tranquility, and nature poet working in collaboration with Coleridge in lyrical ballads. So basically, they have written down the lyrical ballads, and it is their, a separate book that was published by the name of Lyrical Ballads. That is also very good. Coleridge Kubla Khan is very nice poem. Christabella is also the rhyme of the ancient mariner is just love. Okay, you people are supposed to read it. In the rhyme of the ancient mariner, he has actually told us about how the revolution take place, the French Revolution, how the people, they were just hungry, and how they just have to fight for even drinking water, and very nice kind of imagination as created by the Coleridge, that we somehow draw the picture within our minds whenever we read it. Byron's, okay. Byron's Donjon and Childs Horrell's Pilgrimage, Shelley's the Prometheus Unbound, Ode to the West Wind. Shelley's odes are superb. Ode to West Wind, Ode to Grecian Urn, Ode to Nightingale, they were awesome. You must go through it. Now, what is an ode? It is again the next question. It is also a literary term, so Google it. Keats. His mature and important odes, Ode to a Nightingale and Ode to Grecian. Okay, they were the most famous poems written by Keats. Alas, we have just we can say two of the poets, they were very much young when they just died. Might be possible if they were alive. We are having a lot of good stuff in the history of English literature, and specifically in Romantic age. Prose writers was Hazlitt and Leigh Hunt. Thomas De Quincey and his Confessions of an English Opium Eater, Charles Lamb and his Essays of Elia, Jane Austen. No, she was the first novelist in that age. Jane Austen love and marriage as the major themes of her novels Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility. Both are the movies, and you can also watch them, and you're gonna love it. The way she has, write down Pride and Prejudice is just love. Walter Scott's a romantic historical novelist. I want how is his writing. I hope all these things are clear to you. Don't create a kind of mess into your mind when it comes to history. Okay, remember each and every age is having the kind of things as the social background, socio-political background, the history, the literature, the terms, the dominant figures and their works. So these are 4 to 5 main things that you must remember when you are going through any age. All right, so inshallah, I'll make more video on part 3, and I will just cope up with the history to the extent I can. Okay, and inshallah, in the next video I'll start from the critical realistic period. Okay, from the mid and the late 19th century, and till I can't tell you till then. Okay, so inshallah I'll meet you in the next video. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe the channel, and let me know in the comments whether or not you are liking the video, and what kind of video, what kind of stuff you may want in the future. Thank you so much. Take care, and Allah Hafiz.